Songwriter, radio show host, video blogger, published author, and most importantly, the mother of one son. It's an honor to have Judge Polk-Payton to deliver our commencement address today. Would you please join me in welcoming her to the podium?
Yay. Come on.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am so honored to stand before you today. A couple of summers ago, I was preparing to take the stage to sing the national anthem at a National Drug Court Conference in Washington, D.C. A young lady next to me was so nervous because she had to give a speech. In an effort to put her mind at ease, I told her that she was the only person who knew the contents of her speech. So if she messed up, no one would know it other than her. But if I messed up the national anthem, everybody would know it. So I'm taking my own advice today and hoping that if I botch this speech, no one will be the wiser. As I carefully considered the words I would use to inspire the graduates today, I thought about where the wealth of my knowledge has come from. In my introduction, you heard that I have a bachelor's degree, a master's degree, and a Juris Doctor. But those degrees didn't give me the wealth of my education. The most valuable part of my education has come from the underlying circumstances and the environments that have surrounded me as I grew into adulthood. And thereafter, as I pursued my formal education. This is what has given me a true understanding of where I fit in the big picture. It has given me a sense of knowing how my knowledge and my capabilities can contribute to making the world a less chaotic place. Conversely, if you allow the atmosphere surrounding your college education to have an internal or self-centered focus, you will miss the point of it all. And what you gain in college will turn out to be merely a cluster of semester hours that won't benefit you or anyone else. So because my doctoral degree is given in the field of law, I decided to come here to give you insight on the realities of education using a term often used in criminal law called the totality of the circumstances. A totality of the circumstances standard suggests that there is no single deciding factor, that one must consider all the facts, the context, and draw a reasonable conclusion from the whole picture. Where you fit in the big picture began at the point of your conception and has continued to this day. When you were brought home from the hospital, there were some things that your body knew how to do instinctively, but there were other things that you had to be taught, and hence began your education. There may have been things that contributed to the direction of your education, including but not limited to natural learning aptitude, memory skills, athletic abilities, speaking, dancing, vocal or composing abilities, and the like. There were also things that may have distracted from your education, like disciplinary problems, learning disabilities, and in my case, being spoiled and outspoken with a quick wit and a loquacious mouth and an unruly mind that sometimes tended to go against the flow. Other things may have contributed to your abilities to deal with difficult circumstances, which would include the ability to find peace in sadness by the loss that was created by the loss of someone close to you, or the discipline exhibited while withstanding the call of peer pressure. I am careful not to despise my shortcomings or my growing pains. The negative situations that arose in my life made me learn how to turn obstacles into opportunities to be great. I realized that pushing myself beyond my comfort zone would allow me to go further than I ever thought possible. Some say that the best teacher is your last mistake. I can't disagree with that, so I urge you to remember that teacher and respect that teacher. But don't obsess over that teacher, and most importantly, don't let that teacher destroy you. Sometimes your worst enemy lies between your ears. If you only give your mind exposure to the tunnel vision of your preconceived notions, your thoughts and fears will fester, then amplify, and ultimately spill over into your life. The result likely will be a manifestation of drama, confusion, and alienation. Understand that the space between your ears is not big enough to hold all the facts. Open your mind, open your eyes and your ears to what is possible, and you will be able to create a clearer path to understanding the realities of life. Everything that has happened in your life has contributed to preparing you for a time like this. In college, you had less learning supervision, but you were still able to thrive because of the determination, self-control, self-esteem, and personal responsibilities that you gained during the transitions in your life. Learning to harness those positive and negative attributes gave you the undergirding and discipline you needed to matriculate on a college level and a postgraduate level. That takes discipline. Discipline is a learned behavior. How do I know? Because my son can lift me like I'm a toddler. Now, in most circumstances, if you can physically handle someone and they tell you what to do, the instinctive reaction is to say, you can't tell me what to do. But because discipline and respect for authority was taught to him from the moment he responded to his name, my 18-year-old, 6'3", 245-pound son says yes ma'am when I tell him what to do. He's physically big enough to bully me, but respect and discipline controls him in ways that my comparative size and strength would never allow me to control him. Over the years, he has learned something that I know very well. Strength pushes you forward, but discipline allows you to stay the course and finish the race. Where you are in life today is a result of a series of conscious, discipline-driven decisions that you've made since you were about 12 years old. Where you sit today tells me that you decided to listen to your parents and your teachers. You decided not to cheat to get ahead because you understood that the benefits of schemes are temporary, but the rewards of plans are permanent. You decided to seize this amazing opportunity to learn at this magnificent institution in an effort to take advantage of the chance to rise above your circumstances. You decided that minimal effort wasn't good enough, so you stepped outside of your comfort zone, and therefore you now have a greater capacity to grow mentally, emotionally, financially, and spiritually. You decided to follow the rules required for higher learning by admitting that rules exist for the purpose of thwarting chaos. You decided not to allow the pull of instant gratification to guide you. Instead, you exercised patience and perseverance. You decided to admit to and accept the fact that a quick fix will only create another problem. From where you sit, you know that everything that is worth having is worth working for and waiting for. You know that faith without works is dead. You took responsibility for who you will become, and where you now sit represents the sum total of the decisions that made you who you are today, graduates. Poised not only to be useful to yourself, but also to your fellow man. I grew up right down the street from this university. My parents didn't have the money to pay for me to go to college, and when I was in high school, they didn't have enough education to help me absorb what I was learning in school. But they taught me how to trust in God. They taught me how to work for what I want. They taught me how to be honest and fair and how to maintain a die-hard tenacity that won't allow me to give up on my hopes and dreams. I often got tired, discouraged, and frustrated, but like you, I didn't quit. I worked hard and I took advantage of the opportunities that were presented to me, and because of that, here I stand, after being invited to address you, cloaked in the honor of my doctoral robe that was conveyed to me 20 years ago yesterday at Ole Miss Law School. But I want you to see the big picture of who I am. I'm not just a lawyer, a judge, a singer, a songwriter, a motivational speaker and author, a radio show host, a board member, a bar commissioner, and a sorority member. But I am a child of the King. I'm a woman, a mother, a daughter, a niece. I'm a sister, an aunt, a step-grandmother, a great-aunt, a friend, a choir member, a volunteer, and a mentor. I am a citizen of humanity, and it is my duty to share with you the totality of the circumstances that made gay Polk-Payton who she is to the world. Not to make me look better, but so you can see that all things are possible if you don't get caught leaning on your own understanding, but that you unreservedly trust in God's plan for your life. Because I have achieved a level of success, people look at me and they think that I have the world on a string. But they don't know that my father died 3 weeks before I graduated from law school, and my mother died 17 months later when I was 2 months pregnant with my son. That was a traumatic experience for me, but God entrusted me with that pain so that I could use it to bless the lives of other people. When I was assistant dean at Ole Miss Law School, I had a student to come to me stressed out about a test she had taken in a 2-hour course. I think it was eminent domain or family law or something like that, but in a few days, she had an exam for a 4-hour class in evidence law. I told the student about losing my mom when I was pregnant. I told her that before she died, my mother told me that there was nothing that I could do for her, but I had to get her grandchild here safely. So I had to put down my grief and deal with the task at hand, and that was what she had to do as well. I explained to her that she had turned in the exam for that 2-hour course, so there was nothing she could do to change that test, but she had every opportunity to accomplish the task at hand by preparing for the evidence law exam that was coming up. I was able to help her to understand in a matter of minutes what my mom was trying to convey to me, a lesson that took me years to understand. Having a clear understanding of the seed my mother planted in me was put to the test 13 years later when my son was diagnosed with a soft tissue sarcoma in his left thigh. He had to endure 4 surgeries, 31 radiation treatments, 7 rounds of chemo. I was sworn in for my first term as judge on January 3rd, 2012, and my son began chemo 20 days later. So covet not the drink in the cup of your fellow man, because no one's life is perfect. Never find yourself wanting what someone else has unless you know what it took for them to acquire it. Stay focused on what God has for you and you alone. If you remain steadfast in your faith in God, you will never become envious of others or overwhelmed by the fear of the unknown. The Pixar movie, Inside Out, was so profound to me because it deals with our internal being. In this story, from time to time, from the time the child was conceived, the emotion joy was running the control center of her personality. But as she grew older and began to experience more real-life situations, joy started to lose control. Sadness would touch memories of the things she once had but didn't have anymore. Anger, disgust, and fear would step in and want to handle situations, but joy tried to hold all these emotions at bay so that there would be a constant state of bliss. But soon, joy realized that it's not realistic to dwell in a constant state of utopia because the totality of our emotions make us who we are. The depth of our experiences creates opportunities for us to serve others by freely sharing with them the knowledge that we had to pay for with our blood, sweat, and tears. Always remember that everything is not about what you can take from the world, but what you can give back to the world. In closing, I would like to make the following admonishment to the graduates. As you move forward in life, remember that perspective is everything. Never allow narrow-mindedness to limit your perspective and cause you to lose your holistic view of the big picture. Never allow yourself to get bogged down in any temporary set of circumstances that can and will change if you keep moving. If you keep moving forward and upward, you will soon realize that the things that you thought were so overwhelming are now behind you and beneath you. But don't allow that to give you a mentality of arrogance or selfishness. Always remember to reach back and give back, and to handle power and authority with grace, honor, and humility, with the understanding that the power vested in you by any organization or entity means absolutely nothing unless God vests you with the power to take your next breath. And at the end of your life, you will be able to take pride in knowing that you made a difference in the world. You will know that the totality of the circumstances that became your life served to make this world a better place. You will see the value in the story that lies in the strength of the dash that separates your birth year from your death year as one that made a difference. You will know that you were someone who changed the big picture that encompasses this world into a beautiful portrait that is now more morally sound, less chaotic, and that holds a brighter future for all of our children and their children, for mankind. I wish you great success and continued grace, peace, and favor as you move on to the next phase of your life. Congratulations, graduates. Godspeed.
Hallelujah.